Thanks for tuning in to LSC 360 Presents here on WSUM. This series features work produced by students in Information Radio, a life sciences communication course. I'm Rigoletto Lopez, and today we're talking about the entertainment industry. I'm going to be joined by local Madison author and playwright Wesley Corpola to discuss how the coronavirus pandemic has affected writers. He'll share with us some of his personal experience, as well as some tips for anyone looking to write more. You're going to want to hear what he has to say, but first, I'm excited to share with you a surprising way to make science more interesting. In order to do this, we're going to need the help of film. Imagine, it's Friday night, and you're looking for something to do. You can either go see the new hit blockbuster sweeping the theaters, or you can read a new groundbreaking scientific article. Chances are you're going with the movie, and I don't blame you, so would I. And there's a reason. Movies are just more enjoyable. How can we make science more interesting? We need the help of Hollywood. Randy Olson is a biologist who turned to the life of filmmaking, and in his book, Houston, We Have a Narrative, he explains some of the key reasons why he thinks scientists can take a lesson from filmmakers. Victoria Gant is a science communication scholar. She has a great review of Olson's book, and she says Olson believes scientists follow a formula when writing and explaining their work. This formula is a bunch of information connected with the word "and." This turns scientists' writing into more of a list of facts than a story. Fernando Vidal is a professor of research, and he also believes scientists need to change their strategies of delivering information if they want to make a bigger impact. Vidal claims that simply explaining science won't make people interested in it. Putting scientific findings into a more narrative and societal lens can make it more engaging. Vidal says movies can be used to, quote, help unravel the complex processes of scientific knowledge, end quote. So, movies can help make science more engaging, but what can scientists learn from filmmakers? Well, Josh Ettinger has some ideas. Ettinger was a production intern on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Later, he studied screenwriting and is now a PhD student at the University of Oxford. Ettinger says in his experience, he's found several pieces of advice from filmmaking scientists can use. He says scientists should focus more on the journey to the discovery. People want to hear about struggles and failure before they see the hero win. Ettinger also says scientists should explain the stakes. In movies, we always know what the stakes are. If the hero fails, what happens? It keeps us invested. One easy way to improve the delivery of scientific information is by making it into a movie. There are many movies revolving around scientific research and discoveries. These movies are both interesting and informative, engaging and educational. They combine the best parts of entertainment and science into something people want to watch. We should be using film more to help explain new scientific findings to the public. It would make scientific research more accessible to people, and it also might make it easier to learn about science on a Friday night. With LSC 360 Presents, I'm Rigoletto Lopez, and next we're going to talk to my guest about what the COVID-19 pandemic looks like from the production side of the entertainment industry. If you're interested in writing at all, you're going to want to hear what they have to say. The COVID-19 pandemic has been challenging for all of us. We're all still trying to adjust to our new situations. Working from home, online classes, it's a big change. The world of entertainment has changed too. Plays are virtual, movies are streamed, but how has COVID-19 affected writers? With one of the most important roles in film, theater, and many industries, writers are too often overlooked in the production process. Well, my next guest is going to give some insight in what it looks like to be a writer in the world of COVID-19. I'm joined today by local Madison author and playwright Wesley Corpola. Wesley graduated from UW-Madison 2 years ago and has since been working as a writer, having written several published pieces. Wesley, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Rigoletto.
First question that I have for you is, in what ways has this pandemic affected you as a writer?
Well, starting on a more positive note, it's given me plenty more time to write. I was unemployed as well, so I couldn't really look for a job. And so it really just meant I got to write more. So I was pumping out a lot more short stories. I pumped out a play. I would say now I am fighting this. I feel like everyone's tired of this pandemic. It's just starting to affect our lives in all sorts of ways. So my writing has decreased, just harder to get motivated.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, definitely this has been a learning time for a lot of people, not just about, new techniques and skills, but also about personal learning about ourselves. So is there anything maybe that you've kind of realized maybe about yourself as a writer because of this pandemic, or?
I've learned much more so the value of keeping my material lighter and interesting. Just because with my issues of staying motivated, if I can keep writing something that isn't just engaging me and keeping my interest, but also like perhaps lifting my mood as well.
Yeah, and that sounds like something that people can take away even beyond this pandemic, something to in order to keep themselves motivated.
And also another takeaway is when we're in the midst of a crisis like this, let's not write about it. Let's
Mm-hmm.
try and find escapism. I've watched a couple of online plays and stuff like that, and I've read some friends' materials, and I don't want to read about COVID.
Right. Yeah, we're turning to movies and
We're going
Netflix
through
now
it.
more than ever because we want a break.
Yeah.
So are there any tips in general, maybe not even related to COVID, that you would give to writers who are just starting out, or not even writers, but people who just want to write more in general?
The number one thing young writers, and I consider myself to be an amateur writer, deal with is they imagine something in their head and it sounds so cool and good. Then they start writing it down and they're like, oh no, this is nothing like what I intended.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bad writer. And because of that, they can't even write a page or two. They just get very down on themselves and they push it aside and are like, oh, whatever. It's not going to be good. Pump something out because completing something is the hardest task. And then you can put it aside in 2 weeks, come back to it, and you'll have something that you don't like and you wouldn't want others to read, and that will motivate you even further to edit it.
Yeah, that's a really good piece of advice. It has been a blast talking to you, and we're almost out of time. But before we go, how can we find you?
If you actually want to see my work, you can always look up my profile on New Play Exchange, Wesley Corporal. I have a couple of my plays on there. Or you can read my short stories on the Emerald City magazine online, or you can find a copy of the Sheepshead Review at UW Green Bay.
Awesome. That's a lot of ways people can find your work, and I recommend they check it out. All right, Wesley, that's all the time we have for today. It's been a pleasure getting to sit down and talk with you about writing. Thanks again for joining me.
Oh, it was my pleasure, Rigoletto.
That was local Madison author and playwright Wesley Corpola. He talked with us about how COVID-19 has affected writers and himself personally. Wesley also shared some personal tips and pieces of advice to new authors and anyone looking to write more. Writing really is such an important part of this production process in the entertainment industry, and it's one that can often be overlooked. So I'm glad Wesley was able to join me and talk about his experience. I'm Rigoletto Lopez for LSC 360 Presents. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for more of this series here on WSUM.